still have about 5 minutes before we bring on Sheena. So I think what I want to do is at least read her bio. She is on the line. I'm going to read her bio first for those of you that don't know Sheena. So give me 2 seconds. Okay. So Sheena Allen is best known as the founder and CEO of fintech company and mobile bank Capway and mobile app company Sheena Allen Apps. Sheena is a graduate of the University of Southern Mississippi, where she double majored in psychology and film. In 2011, during her senior year of college, she thought of an idea for a money organizing mobile app after leaving Walmart with a long receipt. With no technical background, Sheena designed her first app in Microsoft Word before finding an experienced developer to partner with her for her application. The app was the start of her first tech company, Sheena Allen Apps. Sheena would go on to scale Sheena Allen Apps to house 5 apps and generate millions of downloads, all with no outside funding. In 2019, Sheena merged Sheena Allen Apps with her new venture, App It Out. App It Out works with non-technical individuals and companies through the process of understanding and development of mobile apps and other software applications. In 2016, she thought of her idea for her second startup, which is the name goes by the name of Capway. Capway is a mobile bank and financial technology company that focuses on those who lack fair opportunity and access to mainstream financial services and cashless economy. Growing up in Mississippi, a state with a high population of financially undeserved residents, Allen saw the perfect opportunity to solve a problem that impacts over 2.5 billion people worldwide from a perspective that most wouldn't understand. Sheena and her team worked through R&D and beta testing through 2019 before launching in 2020. Sheena has been featured in various publications, including CNN, Inc. Magazine, and Black Enterprise. In 2017, she released her first print book, The Starting Guide, which is about her early journey in tech, being a non-technical founder. And it also includes Business 101 tips. Most recently, she was featured as Forbes 30 Under 30 magazine and listed on the 2019 Inc. Female Founders 100 list. So with that being said, we're actually going to jump in maybe just a little early since she's already here for her interview. We just want to welcome Ms. Sheena Allen to the call. Sheena, can you unmute yourself?
I can't. I have a bad habit of talking on mute. So
it's okay. It's all right. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't know about anybody else on this call, but I am super excited to meet you because I'm always coming up with app ideas, and I have no tech background, and I know I'm already doing so much, so I probably just need to sit down. But I'm really excited to talk to you just because I got a lot of questions for you about apps, and I'm not going to give you all of them, but I've obviously picked the top questions for you. So with that being said, hold on, let me pull up because these are questions. So for those of you guys who registered, you had an opportunity to submit, obviously, questions to each of our panelists. And so what we did was we just pulled, because we can't have them on the phone all day, we just pulled the top questions, okay? So the first question is, how did you start your journey in developing apps?
So senior year of college, had an idea for an app. I wasn't in school for anything technical. So I was in school I double majored in film and psychology. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just had this random idea one day, and I was like, I'm gonna figure out how to develop this app. And my roommate thought I was completely crazy. Mm-hmm. But what I did, and I didn't know I was doing at the time, was I just got some printer paper, and I just started sketching out how I wanted this app to look. And then I would type out I want screen 1 to go to screen 2. And what I was doing, I was creating a screen flow. I didn't know I was doing it at the time. And I ended up finding someone to partner with. And we developed the first app. So that was my first step into the tech world. And my first app honestly didn't do well. I'll be lying to say that I was an overnight success. But I fell in love with just the process of technology. And I put out a second app maybe 3 months later, and it did really well. And just kept going from there.
Okay. And who is, a lot of times I tell people in anything. It doesn't matter. It can be technical, it can be film, it can be a TV show. It doesn't matter. There's always, I call it that eagle that takes you to the next step, that allows you to go to the next step in what you're trying to do. So it sounds like you found someone to partner with that knew what they were doing and had already done apps and things like that. Can you tell us how you found that person?
So I Googled.
Really? Okay.
So I was just trying to find where could I find a freelance developer. So being from Mississippi, Mississippi is not a place that has a lot of technical people walking around. And so I Googled and I ended up coming across a website called guru.com.
Guru.com. Everybody take notes. Does the website still exist?
I don't know. Now, if you're going to look somewhere, I'm going to suggest you use Upwork. Upwork.com.
Upwork. Okay.
I use Upwork. There's a lot of people in tech. Even if they have a full team, they still use Upwork. And you can literally get anything from Upwork. Developers, designers, it doesn't matter. So I would suggest Upwork if you're going to do something now. But I ended up finding a developer through Guru at the time. And I took out, my dad gave me a loan, $3,000. And I had to pay all that money back. So it was a legit loan. And yeah, I met him. I learned very early how to vet contractors. One thing, the unfortunate piece about trying to find a developer who you don't know, a lot of them will lie about their portfolio. I've met people who had some of my apps in their portfolio that I've never met before. So I learned very early how to vet them. So cold call people in their portfolio. But make sure even your contract, make sure you own all your coding. There's a lot of people who pay a lot of money for development. And then because, something goes wrong or they didn't pay the last pay the last invoice or some way they got into it. And then the development company ends up like holding their coding hostage. So, so make sure all your coding at all times on GitHub. So you always have access to it. But that's how I end up finding somebody, learning how to just vet the process really early. And we formed a good partnership.
And again, I think I read this in your bio. What did that first app do? So apps all have different functions. What was this app helping people with?
First app, crazy enough, I was trying to get rid of receipts. So I had this long receipt when I left Walmart. And this was 2011, my senior year of college. And 2011, the App Store was still very young. So it was maybe 200,000 apps in the App Store versus now it's 10 million. And I wanted to, so it's crazy now. Sometimes you walk into like a retailer, you buy something and, they ask you like on a little machine, like, do you want to like email your receipt? Do you want to text it? Do you want to print it? I was trying to do that in 2011 through an app.
Okay. Gotcha. So that's what you were trying to do back then. Cause I was trying to figure out what it was. So when you partnered with this guy, was this a continuation of developing that app or a new
app? No, that was just the first app. I did work with him on my second app. By the time I got to my third app, I was working with somebody else.
Gotcha. Okay. And then the next question that was submitted was, what is the hardest thing about being a woman in tech, especially a woman of color? Because I just feel like, to be a woman is that right there, you're a minority. But then to be a woman of color coming into tech, talked a little bit about this with Alicia yesterday. I'm sure, as you know, worked for Google, is now with the Recording Academy. What is the hardest thing about being in this world? Because like you said, you went to school for film and some other stuff, so this is a new world for you.
Probably, unfortunately, most Black women in tech is probably going to say funding. It's true. Black women receive less than 1% of VC dollars. So if you're bootstrapping, even bootstrapping is hard because Black women are minorities in general. Of course, we all know the stats around getting business loans. But being a Black woman in tech, most tech companies are backed by investors, angel investors, venture capitalists. And the unfortunate truth is we receive less than 1%. So probably one of the biggest hurdles you're going to run into is trying to raise money and stay alive. And it's really hard because we just don't receive the funding.
Right. And with you actually got something, got a loan from your father. And so I always tell people all the time, when you're trying to do, if you can get an investor, great, right? If you can get an investor that isn't a family member, fine, but you got to start where you are. So if it's borrowing money from family and friends, if it's not going to get that Starbucks coffee, whatever it is, how you can just kind of, raise your initial capital to do what you're doing, a lot of times, and I'm sure you can speak to this, a lot of times investors want to see, okay, what have you brought to the table? How much money,
100%.
how much are you putting in this project? It can't be just 100% they write you a check for your app. You know, even if it's just a couple of $1,000s, I think it just shows that commitment.
Well,
That
I always suggest that if you can bootstrap, I bootstrapped my first company. So I've seen both sides. I bootstrapped my first company, so I know what that's like. But then my second company is VC backed. So we have investors. I would tell you to bootstrap your company as long as you possibly can. I mean, bootstrapping your company is 100% yours, unless you have no co-founders. But when you get investors, every single check that you take, your company becomes less of your company. Like you're giving them equity with every single check, and you're having to update your stakeholders, and eventually you have to give other people voting power. You might be outvoted. So if you can bootstrap. Like I will take that method over raising money any day.
Now tell us a little more, since you're speaking about Capway. So now you have other people that invest into almost this fund that you have, and then people come to you with their app ideas, and then you go from there. How does that work?
So that's App It Out. So with App It Out, what I did was when I was creating Sheena Allen apps, I would have a lot of people that would come to me and say, "Hey, I had this idea for an app. I have no clue like the next step that I should take to like bring this app to life." And I started getting that not only from individuals but from corporations. And I was like, okay, let me shift. So I ended up pivoting the company out of being more of an in-house lab. We create our own apps to saying, hey, I want to help other people create their apps. And so now what people do, they come to us and they'll say, hey, I want to create a social networking app. And we take them really through three steps. The first step is making sure that creating this app is actually worth it. So we go through like a lot of the stats off top. 80% of the apps in the App Store are called zombie apps, meaning that they will never be downloaded more than 10 times.
Wow.
I don't want somebody to go and spend 30 grand on an app.
Yeah, that no one's ever going to really
download. So we walk them through just the steps to make sure, like, is it even worth pursuing what you want to pursue? Like, how many more apps are there out there like that? Now, mind you, that's not going to tell me, give you a yes or no, because, I mean, there's a million hair companies out there. There's the means to start one. But we do walk you through, like, what makes you different? Are you trying to make money now? Or are you trying to make money later? Do you understand that if you do in-app purchases, Apple's taking 30% of your profits? Most people think that if they sell an app for 99 cents, they're making 99 cents. Like, nope, like Apple, Android, doesn't matter, or Google, they take 30% of your profits. So first step, we walk them through, is this even worth pursuing? If they say yes at that process, the second process is more so of the breakdown development, flow chart, UI, UX. People really overlook user interface. So any great app that you have is probably not going to take you more than 2 or 3 steps to get to the main thing. When you think of Uber, you put in your location, you choose the type of Uber you want, whatever, and then you hit go. Like every single app that you see that's great usually has like 2 to 4 steps. So we walk through that. And then the third step is, hey, once you launch, this is what it's like. Launching an app is not the same as launching a website. You can develop a website and never update it, to be quite honest. Does not work that way with the app. If you get an app, when iOS comes out with iOS 14, something's probably going to break and you're going to have to go in and make the adjustment. So it's a never ending process. So that's what we do at App It Out. We walk them through that process before they go out and just up and jump and spend 30 grand or 50 grand or probably just get scammed in general.
Well, that actually leads into my next question, which was, if someone was not technical savvy, how they could still develop an app with the idea. They can come to you, someone like you, even if it wasn't you, but someone like you that can develop it. You just walk through the 3 steps. Could you explain, so how does it look like? Because obviously you're not accepting everybody. So is it like you approve them, and because you're going to pretty much do the grunt work, you take a cut of their percentage? Do you become like a silent partner or co-founder in their app? Like, how do you get paid from helping them to put it all together?
Yeah, so there's 2 options. Either you pay us up front pretty much for doing the work to get you to that point, or if it's something like a larger scale project, we do look into potentially taking equity. And then, but some people might come to us and say, hey, I have a budget of 2,500. And we'll say, we know there's not much you can get for 2,500.
Right.
However, with 2,500, maybe that will get you, we can do some screen grabs for you, or we can do some wireframes. And maybe you want to take it to an investor to say, hey, well, this is how it's going to look.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so it's different at different points people come to us.
Right. So speaking of which, personal story about what you just said. So I was actually trying to develop an app with a show that I'm working on, because it's interesting that you said that there are a lot of zombie apps, right? There are a lot of apps that people are going to create, and it's like, okay, nobody's ever going to download these apps, right? And so I was like, okay, I had the app idea first. But I was like, well, how are people going to know it's in the store? And because I was already developing other show ideas, I was like, oh, well, if I come up with a show, the show could advertise the app. So I say that to say that it's great to come up with an app idea, but if you don't have a marketing campaign to get it out there, like how are you going to put it on social media? Are you going to have a launch party? Are you going to pay a celebrity to talk about it? I mean, you have the best app in the world. But like you said, 80% of these apps, I didn't know the percentage was so high that it may only be downloaded 10 times. Like no one's going to know about it. And so it's funny that one of my show concepts came out of the fact that I realized that very early that if I spent, again, like you said, they were trying to hit me in the head with $30,000 to $50,000, right, to do this app, that I spent all this money and nobody downloads it except my friends.
Right? If you think about it, if you ever look in like the top ranking apps in the App Store, they never really change. It's usually going to be the same apps. It's going to be Snapchat. It's going to be Instagram. It's going like they're usually the same apps. Every now and then you have 2, 3 that creep in. They're like new apps and that's like top ranking. But people download the exact same apps. People rarely just jump into downloading new apps. It just doesn't happen.
Right, right. What would you say are the top apps right now on the App Store?
Instagram is still top. Facebook, well, I just say Facebook because they own all of that.
Well, I was going to say Instagram over Facebook because I'm always like, I don't like Facebook, and everybody always reminds me, it's a Facebook owns this.
Yeah, I side note, yeah, I remember when all this stuff was happening. People like, I'm going to delete my Facebook profile, and it's like, well, if you're on Instagram, it's taking the same data, so it's the same thing. They all
have this thing trending, delete Facebook, but then
everybody's on Instagram. It's like same data. It's all the same. They own all of it. But they hold the Facebook portfolio, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok.
Yeah.
Still like top 5. People are down on the exact same maps. And then of course, banking, mobile finance is becoming really big. So even when I started the mobile bank, I just knew it was like perfect timing. I always say that business is great if you can do 3 different things. I think it's timing, it's execution, and then it's team. So to me, it's always those 3 things. And so even with the mobile finance becoming big, so you look at Mint, Cash App, those are definitely going big. But I think the one thing I want people to know about apps is people are very unpredictable when it comes to what people like, what they use. I've seen celebrities spend a lot of money, user influence, and the app does great for like 2 months.
Right, and then people
forget
about it.
Like nobody, because this is not apps. It's not one of those, I'm a celebrity, I'm gonna put it out, I'm gonna promote it, and then it's gonna like do its own thing. Like it's like I said, it's a constant, it's an everyday job. I think
I heard Bumble just crossed their threshold. I think it's like 150 million, whatever, download subscribers or whatever. Like they just crossed like another milestone. And obviously Whitney, I'm sure heard, again, she's a woman in tech. I would love to at one point get her on one of these conferences. Again, there are not that many women in tech. So for her to have created Bumble, she obviously has investors now, and she owns only a part of the company.
She's always promoting Bumble. It's not like it came out as an influence, she made it great, and then it was like, I'm hoping it's going to do great. Like every week, every month, you see she's doing Bumble Biz. She's doing stuff at sporting events. It never stops. It's just not, once again, it's not one of those things you can say, I have a budget of 30 grand. I don't know.
Right. That doesn't include the marketing. That's just created.
Yes.
And I think it's interesting what you said about how she's doing different things. something I was kind of inspired for, not the app that this particular app I'm thinking about with the show, but a different app that I may do in the near future, is that it had different modes. So Bumble, as you guys know, is a dating app, but she has, okay, say you don't want to date somebody. Let's just say you want to network. Like, I want to network with Sheena, right? I'm not trying to date Sheena. I'm just trying to network her. I can change the mode on Bumble and just do Bumble networking.
Yep.
And they match you with people, which, I probably should go ahead and just re-download it for that reason. And then they also have a mode that says Bumble BFF. Let's say you move into a new town and you just want girlfriends to go out with. You don't have any girlfriends. They have Bumble BFF. So what I liked about it was she took one concept and she just kept building on it. So there's a little bit of something for everybody on this app. It's not just a dating app. And I think she realized she had to do that because A, there are so many dating apps, but B, she was going up against Tinder. Like, FYI, Tinder and Bumble, they hate each other. Like, they have lawsuits against each other. I know that from a legal perspective, right? They hate each other because they're at the top, fighting for that number one position in that dating space. But yeah, for those of you guys, again, you don't have to get on Bumble to date anybody, but I think it's a great app because it has, those other modes. I just wanted to jump in quickly just to see, is anybody on the call that wanted to ask Sheena a question about maybe an app idea they had? We have a few more minutes before I ask her my final question. You can use the webinar chat to just tell me if you have an app idea you wanted to quickly ask Sheena a question. I'm just going to look at the chat. If you have a question about your app or you had an app idea, I just wanted to because I had a few minutes to give people an opportunity. If you had an app idea, just let me know. Okay, Pineapple said she had okay. Unmute yourself, Pineapple. She had a question.
Hey, Sheena, I wanted to ask a question about those kind of like those app development websites and which ones you prefer or if you even use them. I know there was one called like Bubble.io. It's pretty much just drag and drop and you just kind of like, and then there was another one there's like ones that's specifically for like games or whatever it might be. Like, what are your thoughts on those and like what are your suggestions? Is basically
yeah, those so if you are, I think it depends on what type of app you're trying to develop. So things like Bumble, there are several out there now. If you're trying to do something like an app for like your restaurant or like your boutique, those work perfect because it's very template based, very drag and drop. If you're needing something for like more customized, a larger type of brand you're trying to build, those don't really work. I will say that the advantage and the great thing about those software options though is if you are trying to build something to get traction so that you can show an investor, hey, I've built this, hey, I've gotten this many people on my platform, I can show you these analytics. Those are perfect for building a basic MVP, which is your minimum viable product. So if it's something like a restaurant, a boutique, they're good in general. But even if you're trying to build something much bigger that's eventually custom software, take advantage of those to build an MVP. And I've seen people use those to go out and raise hundreds of thousands of dollars by using those as MVP, to build an MVP.
And I had one more question. I don't know if you're familiar with like the story game apps. It's one of them that I particularly like is called Choices. And I was wondering just like briefly if you could explain, like I guess I would go into like using like Fiverr or Upwork as far as just like, basically I like Choices and I like those kind of like pick your own ending story. It kind of gives me like that feel of like Oregon had a baby with like Goosebumps kind of situation, Oregon Trail. Like modern day, those versions of the book, but I do notice that there's like a lack of diversity in the stories, and I just wanted to be able to like have stories where people are like accurately just like depicted. So how would someone go about, like, is that more of a game type situation? Like, I don't know.
I mean, you can gamify it. I wouldn't necessarily list it as a game. That would definitely fall under more of social network. social networking, that would definitely become more of a software type of application. But if you're trying to build it to the point that you feel like, hey, I'm going to need to build a community or I'm going to need investors to expand my community, there's a few things that I would suggest. The first thing I would suggest is, can you do that through a website? Never overlook the advantage of having a responsive website. And websites are much cheaper. They can be done much quicker. And they can be, once again, what you need to get the traction to eventually cross over into being having a native mobile application. Second thing I always tell people is, don't overlook the networking that's already built through social networking. So an example of your case, from the example you gave, maybe you will start a story group or something like on Facebook and build that to 5,000 followers. And then like once you have like that loyal following, it's like, okay, now our app is coming out. Make sure you guys download it. And now you can do X, Y, and Z, which we couldn't do, in this Facebook group. So there's ways that I would say build up an audience, because it's definitely more of a social networking community that you're building. But there's ways to do that in a very cheap way before you go out and spend thousands of dollars on a mobile app.